Hello colleagues, my name is Diego and I am recording this from Copenhagen. This is a short introduction to a new tool that has been developed in Fix, and we are calling it the demographic projection tool. So in this brief tutorial I will shortly speak about the tool, what it is, what it does and how to use it. And all of the resources that I mentioned during this tutorial will be shared with you in the notes of that will accompany the tutorial. We're very happy to present the demographic projection tool, which has been on the making for a while now, and the main objective of this tool is to help the staff involved in the making of the planning figures in the different UNHCR operations to have more standardized and systematic approach for producing these planning figures. And so as such, the tool is intended, the main users are staff who are involved in the making of the planning figures and program officers who are otherwise involved in planning and other activities. What I want to do now is show you a bit how this tool looks and what it does. The tool is online, which means that you can access it from wherever you are, and so this is what it looks like. To access it at the moment, you have to go to this address, which is going to be shared with you in the notes. The current location of the tool is avstaging.org/UNHCR. This might change in the future, but we will make sure to share the permanent link to the tool when it's available. So the main objective of the tool is to use some of the data that UNHCR collects, mainly progress data, and then apply a demographic model for projecting the population of concern to UNHCR into the future. So we are speaking about 3 years into the future. And what the tool does basically, and this is from a paper that we wrote about the tool that we are also going to share with you if you want to look a bit more into the details. But what the tool does in essence is take an initial population, then add the arrivals into this population, subtract the number of deaths that happen in this population, then add the births that happen in the population, together with other changes in the number of the population related to administrative changes, for example, changes in status. And then fits all of this into the model, and what you get in the end is a projection that looks something like this, and we are gonna look how this is see how this is produced. And it basically gives you, and when you input different assumptions about the parameters of the model, then you get different estimates of how many individuals are going to be in a given population into the future. So this is the main, which is the planning figures. So when I go through the tool, then we're gonna discuss the different assumptions that the model makes, and also the kind of input that you need to provide to the tool for it to function. Okay, so as I said, you go to avstaging.org/UNHCR, or the link that we're going to provide in the future, and this is what the tool looks like. So in the upper menu, you have different options, and then the first thing that we need to do is we need to sign in. If you haven't done this before, you need to create an account, and when you create an account, then this you just need to input your information, your name, your last name, and your email. Please note that the tool is currently not linked to your UNHCR login credentials. So you can still use your UNHCR email, and you can use the same password if you want, or you can use a different one. Okay, so once you create your account, then you can sign in. Okay, well, now I have signed into my account, and I'm going to create a new projection. And as we move forward in the process, then you can see that we're going to go through these different sections of the tool. So the first thing that you need to do is you create a name for the projection. In this case, I'm going to call it test. You can choose to do the projection either by year or by month. We're going to use the yearly option now, and in this case, we're gonna make a projection from starting in 2018 to 2017 for this example, and then ending in 2019. Okay, so the initial data that the tool needs is progress data. And if this is available, if progress data aren't available, then you can also input some of the values by hand. But now we are going to assume that progress data are available. And so we select this option, and then we're going to upload the progress data. Now, as this is a work in progress, and there are maybe two main changes that are still going to happen. The first one is that the tool actually requires the data input to be in a specific format. And I'm just going to show this quickly. And in the meantime, I would like to thank the colleagues in Kenya, because we're going to be using some sample data provided by the Kenya operation for this tutorial, and I would just like to make clear that these are in no way official figures. So this is just some of the data that I will be showing are actually not the actual progress data. The flow figures are not the ones reported by the operation. So this is just to have some data and to show us an example. Okay, so this is what the data looks like that we are going to input into the tool. So if you see, there are 6 columns, and the first one is the country of asylum, the second one is the country of origin, type of population, asylum seeker, refugees, then we have the age, sex, and total. So this is how many men age 44 in Kenya coming from Afghanistan who are asylum seekers. How many of them do we have in the progress data? Only one. And so that way you see the general structure of the data. So one of the changes that are going to happen here in the tool is that here we will have a hyperlink where you can download a script to extract this data from the progress database in the right format. So this is also going to be included in the notes of the tutorial. But say that we do have this data. In this case, I'm going to use progress data from Kenya. So if we do have this data, then you can see that here we have to select the country of asylum, it's Kenya, and then which population do we want to project. So you can only project one population at a time of one country of origin and one type of population. In this example, let's say we want to project the South Sudanese refugees in Kenya. Okay, then we create the projection. And the first step, and here you see that we are already in defining what the base population looks like. So since we're using data from the progress file, then this automatically reads it and shows us the age and sex composition of the population. So in this progress data that we fed into the tool, there were 500 men aged 0. Okay, so what if we don't have progress data? If you don't have progress data, then you can either enter your own data by age group. So you can say, okay, I don't have progress data, but I think there are 5,000 men who are aged 0 to 4. Okay, so say you don't have, so this is one option, but what if you don't know how many men aged 0 to 4 there are? Well, that's not a problem, because you can also choose to enter the value of the estimated value of the initial population, the population, what we call the population stock. So in this case, how many South Sudanese refugees in Kenya do we think that there were at the beginning? So that if in 2017, which is the start year that we chose, say I think there are 7,000. Okay, but the tool actually needs the breakdown by age and sex. So, but since we don't know it, then we can select the age distribution of another population. And there are a number of possibilities. And in this case, we're going to choose Kenya. So we're going to choose to apply a model age-sex distribution, in this case, borrowed from the Kenyan, from the total population of concern located in Kenya. If your country is not here, then you can choose the one that you think is closest to your country. Okay, but in this case, we do have the progress data, so we're going to use this. The second step of the projection is, okay, so this is the second thing that's going to change. Currently, we need to enter the number of arrivals and departures by year and by sex. In the future, we won't have to distinguish by sex. It's just going to be the total number of arrivals and departures. And in this case, by arrivals, and this we are also going to change here, by arrivals, we don't only mean new refugees coming into the country. Arrivals includes both new refugees, but also reactivations, and then what we're calling departures here include resettlement, include repatriation, integration. So all of these ways of exiting the population, we have to input here. And as I say, in the future, this is just going to be one row. So you don't have to, you don't need to provide different values by sex. In this case, I have some flow estimates. And something that I would recommend as good practice is to have different scenarios. So you can have, and this is what I showed initially. This is a low scenario, a mid scenario, and a high scenario. And so the question is how many new arrivals and departures there are going to be in the future. You can have a conservative estimate, then you can have a medium, and you can have a high migration estimate. I want to make clear here that the tool, the demographic projection tool, does not provide these values. So this is something that you have to input into the tool, because it is very difficult to predict just using a model how many, the size, the extent of forced migration in the future. So this is something that you have to use your expert knowledge and your knowledge of the field to input these values into the tool. In this case, let's look at the medium scenario, which is close to what was reported in the planning figures last year. And so we have a number of arrivals and a number of departures. I'm just going to copy and paste this into the tool. So you can just paste, Control C and Control B, and then I copy the arrivals and the departures. And to clarify, we're going to change this also, the title so that it's clear that that this is not only forced migration. Okay, there is an advanced option here if you want to customize the age-sex distribution of the population. We're not going to do it. Okay, so the next step is to provide data about fertility and mortality. So in theory, we could get this information from the progress data, but as you know, there are several issues with the quality of the data. Sometimes there are problems with registering birth, or the registration of birth is delayed, so or death are not reported. So because of this, we chose to source or to borrow the measures of mortality and fertility from the World Population Prospects. And there are two basic assumptions that we make here. First one is that the fertility or the fertility values are those of the country of origin, and the mortality rates are those of the country of asylum. So in this case, the tool automatically will get the fertility measures from South Sudan and the mortality from Kenya. So here we see the different values that have been sourced from the World Population Prospect, and in this case the age distribution of fertility. So you don't really need to worry about these technical details. I just want to highlight them, to show them, but this will be done automatically by the tool. Okay, so once we input this fertility and mortality rates, we finally arrive at the results section. In this section, we see an estimate of what the future population is going to look like based on the values that we input into the tool. You can choose to show this visualization, or you can also have bars, or you can have a table. And again, here you can just copy and paste into a spreadsheet or wherever you want. So what this shows here is the distribution of. So this is the initial population, and then 1 year into the future, in this case 2018 and 2019, these are projected values, and then we also have them by sex. Right. So this is the projected population of South Sudanese refugees in Kenya for these years. Here you can choose different ways of showing the same data. This is by age and sex. So this is useful for knowing, for example, what is the predicted number of children under 5 in 2019, or how many children. Okay, so these are fixed age groups, but if you want, you can also customize the age groups. So you can say how many children are there going to be between 6 and 18, for example, in these 3 projected years, and then you get the estimates. This is quite useful for all kinds of planning. And then you can also see how many births there are going to be in the future, and how many deaths there are going to be in the projected in the years that we are projecting. So when you are done with the projection, when you have concluded this section, then you can also save it. So when you save the projection, this is going to be saved into your online account that we created earlier, and all of your projections are going to be saved here in the projection library. So you can see I have a number of projections, and this is the one that I created now. So you can close the browser, you can shut down the computer, and then when you open it again, you can load a projection again. And then you can also download the different resources from to save in your computer. So this is the basic. This has been a basic introduction to the tool, and just to give you some examples of how to use it. If you have any more questions, we are happy to help at Fix Copenhagen, and the contact information is going to be in the notes of this tutorial. Maybe a last point on the goal of the tool. Our intention with creating this tool is to provide you with, as I said, scientific way of estimating planning figures. The use of the tool is not compulsory, and it is mainly intended for your use, which means that we are not going to use this to check the figures that you provide, for example. We're not going to use this tool at all in headquarters. It's to be used in the field, and if you want, you can use it for estimating your planning figures, or for checking the planning figures that you estimate using other methodologies, and it's completely up to you. And yeah, so this is the tool, and please feel free to get in touch with us if you have any questions about it. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.